This is nice. This is nice. This is not doing so nice, but it's not dead. It's hard and firm. So we're gonna leave them in there. You know, each graft has its time. This is dead. See, when the budwood starts turning dark, black, and dries up, this is dead. On the other hand, we have some here that were done on December 31st, and you could see how well this one is doing. You can see that this is not doing very well, but in the close-up shot you will see that it has some leaves growing in here. This Murashihi from Hawaii, it's not doing that great. It was also grafted on December 30th, and it is now February 19th, and it's not doing much, but it's hard, and as you could see from the close-up picture, it's completely fused into the rooting stock. So this should take off. When? I don't know. Each one will have a different time. Soon, I think, probably next week, we're going to take off the tape on these, and we're just going to tie them and just make sure they're clean. It comes a time that it will, they need to get free so they could expand. This is the one that I thought it was dead, but now looking at this, at the graft itself, it's green all the way out here. This this was grafted in December, the end of December, so it's a few weeks old. I'm going to see, it's green all the way through here. On the other side, the same thing. This is why it's always good to put a bud facing outside on each side of the cut if possible, because I've seen some of these things come back. So we're just going to cut it to maybe a little further down. There, perfect. We're just going to put a little bit of the spray. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to see what happens here in the next few weeks. 7 days have passed by, and we are going to remove the tape on these 3 grafts for different reasons. As you could see, these 2 have done very well. These were grafted onto a 2-year-old seedlings. So I find that seedlings in these 5-gallon pots are very successful. I imagine because it's such a thick root ball in here pushing up, that this is the end result. This is the 3-gallon Walding seedling with Wilson graft, but for some reason it lost these leaves. They just dropped off, so I don't know if it's too much water or if this is just too tight. We'll check them out. Alright, let's see. Let's start by removing I put a lot of tape on this one for some reason. Very careful. Look at it, how well it's healed, how good it looks. We just now going to tie it up in here for just one spot for support and make sure this dries up and heals properly. As soon as this thing grows a little bit, we'll tie it out here. Today we're going to remove the leaves on top of the seedling and we'll see how it goes. This is the San Miguel. We just finished unwrapping. We did tie it up there a little bit, but you can see how well this thing is fused. This is the Wilson that we had in the 3-gallon can, for some reason it started dropping little branches that were here. This looks like stopped growing, looks weak. So since this was grafted in December 4th and it's now February 26th, we are just going to unwrap it here just to make sure this is not too tight, and I'm going to put it in the shade for a few days to see if I can salvage this one. So you could see some this side of the rootstock is nice. This other side is dark, maybe dying. So I don't know if at some point it might be good just to cut it here and leave this exposed, but since I am not sure, I'm going to leave it like that for a few days, see what happens. This is the Wilson, which was grafted in December 3rd. It is definitely over 2.5 months old. So we're just going to uncover it. Plus I see this here very bulky. This area here, the bottom of the graft is growing very big. So I think this is time just to unwrap it and let the air dry it up. This, as you could see, it's doing very well. It swelled here quite a bit on the bottom, and it is totally fused. So I really don't expect any problems with this graft. It's a little bit weaker on this side, but it's really doing very well, and I think this is going to work out real well. So at this time, I'm just going to tie it here a bit to give it a little support, wait a few more days, and tie it up here again to protect this new growth. A few weeks have passed since I gave you some videos of some of these varieties that we have grafted. You will be surprised to see that this is San Miguel, which was grafted in December 30th. Look at it, how huge it is. This is the Wilson, that was also grafted around the same time, the early part of December. These were two that were grafted onto 2-year-old seedlings in 5-gallon pots. I think what I have learned, that if you have something special that you want to make sure it goes well, graft it onto a 2-year-old seedling. The response on these two has been incredible. This is the Hawaiian variety, the Malama. I thought this was going to be a goner, but it's struggled to take off, but it's growing. This is the Murahichi, also a Hawaiian variety, that was grafted at the last day of the year, December 31st. And look at it, it took a while, but it finally took off. And this is the tree that in the earlier part of the video I said that it was dead, but it did not die. Whenever we use cleft grafting, we decapitate the tree, I've always been told that put a bud in the lower part facing to the side, and this is that case that when this is the case that we looked at it and the scion-wood was dying. We cut it, and then a few weeks later it started growing from a bud that was in that wedge down below that stayed alive. As I am talking, you are looking at pictures of the progression of this graft. I learned this from a guy that does about 500 grafts a year, and he told me on some of the trees he worked for me, never write a graft off until such time as all the scion wood is dead. As long as there is a little piece of scion wood that's alive, there's always an opportunity for the graft to grow. And this is a living example. I have seen this several times before. This is the one that I have been able to document real well. These were others that I have grafted this year. This is Oro Negro on Wilding seedlings. As you can see from the size of these seedlings, they were not 2 years old like the others, but they were at least easily 14 months old, maybe 15 months old. These were leftovers for the year before that did not get grafted and were given to me by a friend. They're in 3-gallon pots. Now these were grafted on February 24th. That was the day of the new moon. And now is the first week in April. So really these things are like 6 weeks old, and look how green and how strong they are coming.